I'm here speaking on behalf of Congruence Engine. Congruence Engine is working on linking industrial-related archives and museum collections. We are exploring this through themes of textiles, energy and communications. But most crucially, Congruence Engine is approaching the idea of a national collection as a verb rather than a noun, something that is done in an ongoing way, a process of collecting and connecting. A process that is made possible through a virtuous cycle of collaboration between people and technologies operating within the supportive framework of a social machine. The idea of social machine is often traced to Tim Berners-Lee with Marv Fischetti in their 1999 Weaving the Web article. Since then, the term social machine has been elaborated in various contexts, not least by a conference convened by Wikipedia in 2014 and through a major EPSRC-funded project leading to a 2019 publication by Nigel Shabbott, Kieran O'Hara, David DeRoe and Wendy Hall titled The Theory and Practice of Social Machines. And we also know there's interest in the concept of social machine within a Tank Directorate through the work of Javier Pereda, about and how social machine might contribute towards our wider project aims. And of course, Pip Wilcox also mentioned social machine at the end of her presentation in the first panel today. The immediate relevance to the Congruence Engine project is captured by our lead for digital history, Alex Butterworth, in his manifesto, which was published in the Science Museum Group's journal's Congruence Engine special issue, which was published last year. So I'm going to draw on Alex's thinking around social machine throughout, as well as the subsequent discussions we've been having as a whole team. And it's very much joint work that I'm presenting today. In his manifesto, Alex envisioned Congruence Engine as a social machine that coordinates and harmonises human curiosity and capabilities with a range of digital technologies to generate new constellations of collective knowledge. As we develop thinking around our own social machine, we are also starting to think about how this can be generalised into a design specification that might support a sustainable process of national collection. A design for a social machine that is grounded in a virtuous recursive cycle of care, contribution and connection. Care is made up of knowledge, interest and energy. Care motivates involvement. Care for collections of heritage material, whether held professionally or by communities. Care to make sense of the past and enliven its relevance today. Contributions grow the national collection, whether through digitisation, annotation, computational analysis, sharing data sets, digital tools and techniques. And new connections are made between people and collections that might otherwise be atomised or trapped in separate institutional silos. With each step, care is deepened, contribution encouraged, and connections extended. To go into more depth, we are investigating national collections as a social machine in a number of ways. As made through contribution, the national resource comes into being through an active process of contribution that enables collection, aggregating knowledge, produced in the links that are forged between data by those who have or who discover some motivation for making those links. Our practical focus in the Congruence Engine is to materialise and test this process by enabling a range of historical researchers, whether paid or researching in their spare time, to access technological tools and skills which allow them to pursue their interests. It is a responsive form of support, walking alongside and observing researchers as they transform collections material, perhaps first from analogue to machine-readable form, later into annotated data sets, and beyond into open and linkable data models and interoperable knowledge graphs. At each point of these pipelines, some combinations of human technical processes are needed, and we have begun to identify how. Whether in annotating training data for machine learning and computer vision processes, checking and correcting outputs of automated methods, or expressing nuanced semantic knowledge about how industrial occupations, for example, are described. The national collection as social machine will be an ongoing invitation to improvement, forged in the distinctive contribution that people and technology can make. We are also exploring national collection as social machine in terms of federated and emergent legitimacy. The questions of structure and of governance drives our steps towards national collection. Our emerging vision of national collection as social machine is forged in a distributed structure, allowing ownership of digitised knowledge to be kept local, control to be federated, expertise to be valorised, and contributions to be micro-accredited. The benefits of this for conceptualising the national collection, which can otherwise seem top-down, dominated by national institutions, as well as freighted with problematic connotations of patriotism, is it allows a verb national collection to draw its energy from a wide community that represents diversity of the UK as a 21st century nation, and to operate in ways that earns its legitimacy and ensures its sustainability. This ongoing negotiation of the national and desire to identify ways of recognising the significance of heritage across different scales is, of course, a consideration across the multiple Tank Foundation and Discovery projects. The Congruence Engine vision is to ultimately create a new and radical vision of knowledge production as a site of active citizenship to which cultural heritage communities of interest are in continual and fluid processes of coming together reciprocally and to mutual benefit. In practical terms, we have now identified a research agenda for investigating governance. First, we will surface issues through targeted interviews, and this will better inform experimental action to enact and refine how a federated approach might work. We will investigate this in step with our ongoing work on situating UK industrial heritage as a record of UK colonial and capitalist expansion and extraction. In this way, we intend to ensure that the design of a national collection as social machine can operate as an anti-racist, anti-colonial, anti-oppressive space. We are also exploring national collection as social machine in terms of human and technologies in endless loops. Key to our design intentions is to constantly make creative use of the different affordances of scaled up and scaled out machine and human processing capabilities, bringing together standardisation and expressive nuance. An affordance of this socio-technical system is to be conscientiously calibrated to mitigate bias, continually retuned to capture and discover previously overlooked or excluded areas of knowledge in ways that challenge, refine, expand and reshape national stories. Our multiple investigations have been designed with an active consideration of three discrete but interconnected aspects of what we need to understand as part of developing our design specifications for a national collection, a social machine, in terms of digital insights, what tools, techniques and processes might be used or developed, in terms of social insights, who needs to be involved and how, and to understand how we can take an ethical approach to valuing and crediting input across a range of different material realities, and finally, in terms of historical insights, how in making the connections between different collections we can generate new insights into our industrial heritage and beyond. To give one example, in our investigation that looks into broadside ballads and work-related folk songs, there is an iterative interplay between the digital technologies, speech-to-text, for example, and entity extraction, and the human and social contributions of expertise from industrial folk historians and performers. Through this investigation, we are indicating how sound heritage can act as a connective source in better telling informed histories of working class people's lives and experiences. Our project is based in action research, which I'm facilitating with Aaron Rees. It is a methodological approach which produces practical and conceptual understanding through action, observation and reflection. Crucially, action research is enabling Congruence Engine to take an orientation to research which models, experiments and enacts the very thing that we are investigating. As we rehearse the process of national collection within the emergent structure of a social machine, we refine what national collection is and might become. This involves enabling researchers and partners to chart their own routes, developing investigations that combine historical questions with targeted experimental use of digital tools and techniques, And in so doing, we are constantly adjusting, reworking and tuning up our collective conceptualisation of national collection as verb and as social machine. Thank you.